Welcome to the Got Money and Purpose podcast. My name is Raul Villacis, and I'm here with my beautiful co-host.
Yes, Vivian Villacis. So excited to be here with you, my love.
So excited to have you here. So today we're going to talk about how to diffuse the bombs in your relationship.
Yeah, I feel like we had a lot of that at the beginning of our relationship, of our marriage. And, you know, anything that we say here and what we share is stuff that like we have used in the past. Maybe we even use it now, because I know like when we fight now, it's very rare that we have like this big arguments. But when we do, I feel like we're in a place that we could actually have some tools that could help us navigate that. Because it could be so hurtful, you know, when you have this anger and when you have this back and forth in a relationship of like, just, I don't know, it could really damage the relationship.
I think that's is key to understand how to communicate and diffuse the bombs, because they could escalate real quick. Because I had some really conversations this week with some guys, and they were like, man, we were diffusing bombs left and right. So if you're watching us through Facebook, make sure that you comment. You let us know where you're watching us from. You're watching us from YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and give us a comment and give us some questions. If you have any questions at the end of the conversation in this podcast, we'll address some questions if we have them. If not, we'll do it for the next podcast. So let's get started. How to diffuse bombs. So first of all, let me tell you a quick story. I have a couple of clients that I've helped in the last couple of weeks. One of them, was talking to him today, and he said that through COVID, his business was struggling at the beginning. He was almost going out of business. And because of some of the things that we've done with him on the mindset and the opportunities, he was able to turn the business around because he turned his mindset around.
Okay.
So he went from almost going out of business to now he is in a place where his business is thriving. He's making more money. He's growing. He's looking to expand. He's looking to buy another business. That's awesome. And then now, like, his wife is like, slow down. Like, we just got out of a crisis.
She wants him to slow down.
She wants him to slow down. She wants him just to stay put on, to stay in his lane, right? That was the conversation. Like, my wife doesn't want to, expand. She doesn't want to go with me on this. She wants me just to stay the same and to be stuck where we were before, right? Mm. So the feedback that I gave him is, first of all, he said, Raul, I'm triggered as fuck because like I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this for my family. But now that we have this opportunity to change our life, she doesn't want to take the risk. Mm. She doesn't want to, go to the next level with me.
Yeah.
And he says to the point that he was, asking himself, like, even sabotaging his relationship. He's like, I don't care now. I want to burn this shit to the ground, because that's the point when you escalate, right? Yeah. I want to burn shit to the ground, because I think that in relationships, we're so used to the struggle sometimes. Especially, in the grind, that when we get a little bit off the ground, we want to do more, we're afraid to take more risks. So from a woman's perspective, from my experience with you, I know that it's scary, right? You would just come from a situation, a struggle, and then now you want to double down and better everything, on black again, and it could be threatening to the relationship.
I mean, it's really difficult when we're in that place, right? Like, you're changing and you see the change happen so quickly when you start to change yourself, and then you shift everything, right? And then everything just seems to like go where it has to be. And I know that we've talked about this before, like, we're so addicted to drama. We're so addicted to this like conflicts, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? So I also had a conversation with one of my clients, and she's kind of like, maybe she is that woman that you're talking about, right? Like, her husband is changing, her husband and doing all these things. And then he comes home and they're having this heated arguments. And I'm like asking her, like, like, let's leave the argument to the side, because there's always like the argument, the aggressiveness is like a calling for something, especially when it comes from us women. Like, we're looking for something. And she just felt like, okay, like, I need you to hear me. I need my time. I need all these things, but we don't know how to ask for it. And I think then those conversations, like you said, like, escalate so quickly that they turn up to be so ugly.
And from the man's perspective, it's like, man, we think that we're doing everything for you guys, for the vision. But what I told him, I said, let's just be honest. You build your business because you want to build a business. And one of the patterns that I saw myself is that I always thought, okay, I'm gonna go and take risks on business, because that's what it is. Entrepreneurs are risk takers. And if you're gonna take a risk sometimes as entrepreneurs we take way too much of a risk, and that's when we fail, or we don't calculate those risks.
But I also think that you guys love that. Like I see it with you, like you love to take those risks. Like that's what keeps you alive.
Well, exactly.
Right?
So then it is for me, when I realize that have to be honest with myself, I live in that edge.
Right.
And I live for those moments that, okay, I'm going to bet on black. I'm going to bet on myself. And
Yes.
then when your wife or your partner doesn't support you,
then
it's kind of like, oh shit, like now maybe she's right. Maybe I don't have what it takes, right? But what I told him, I said, you don't have to wait until not always your wife is going to support you. Like
right.
your wife is not always going to be a cheerleader, right?
And I think even that, like, I was thinking about that, because it's like you can't always be on the same page, because if you were on the same page, then you would have like this boring relationship.
That's a polarity,
right?
Polarity.
So I think trust me, I don't like to have arguments. I don't like to like get into like this heated conversations with you. But there's times that like I have to stand up for what I believe in. So we're talking about this like anger and how to like diffuse bombs. But so like it's good to have this conversations, and it's good to stand up for what you believe in, and to have like this different views and perspectives of how you see things happening. What we're kind of talking about a little bit too is like how it could escalate. And I know, like, I've talked to a couple of different women, like when it escalates and there's anger involved and there's maybe even violence, then that's when like you're crossing the line in the relationship.
Well, that's where self-awareness comes in, right? And then you start asking yourself, and what I coach my client through is ask yourself, where is this frustration coming from?
Yes.
Where is this energy coming from? Like, number one, is it because your wife doesn't believe in you, or is it because you want her to believe in you because you don't believe in yourself? Right. Number two is, why are you doing what you do? Is it because, are you masking that, oh, I want to do it for my wife, I want to do it for business, or are you doing it because that's what you're calling? That's what you're called to do, right?
Right.
The moment that we own that we are building businesses because that's what we are born to do, that's what we love to do,
yes.
Then you don't have to mask it. So, well, I'm doing it for you, I'm doing it for our kids. No, you're doing it because you love to take the risk.
Yes.
Then you take the emotion out of the equation and you said, okay, let's say I do listen to her feedback, because everything is feedback, right? How do I diffuse the bomb? And I said, you have to understand from her perspective. You just went through, what type of man were you when you were going through that struggle? Who were you when you were going through the struggle? Like, you probably were not the nicest guy to be around. You probably were stressed the fuck out because of all the things that you were going through. You almost lost your business. Right. It's like now, like, you just survived. Like, you were in a Titanic. You jump out of the Titanic. You were in a life, raft. And you just survived, and you went to this island, and you're safe. And now you're asking your wife, let's jump into another cruise. Yeah. Let's jump into the boat. She's obviously saying, hell no, we just made it. We just survived. Last thing I want is to take another risk. And then you're wondering why, she doesn't want to take the risk with you, because she has PTSD. She has already post-traumatic distress disorder. Like, she's already been shell-shocked. So now you have to navigate it and diffuse the bomb a different way. Yeah. So how would you diffuse the bomb in that situation? How, if you were to coach that woman, what would you tell her if her husband comes in? Like, we just survived the Titanic, we're alive, but now my husband wants to go into another ship and wants to take me with him.
Yeah, and then, relationships are so amazing because they teach us so much. And I think, like, that's what I always say, like, our marriage has been one of my greatest teachers. So I would say, like, when we become defensive, like, especially for her, like, she would be defensive, and then you become aggressive, right? Like, because it comes from a place of fear. Like you said, like, you feel like this fear kicking in, because in our mind, like, we already have, like, well, you failed before, like, you made it now. We are here now. How long can you guarantee this?
Can we just stay here and enjoy it for a little bit?
Can we just enjoy this for a moment? And it's like, I just want to hold on to this, like, this moment, right? And sometimes, like, we're entitled to that. Like, we just came from, all this, like, turmoil and all these things happen, and now you just want to go ahead and do the next thing. And I honor you guys because you love to do that, and I've honored you from time to time when, like, you want to jump to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But I'm like, wait, can we just be here for a moment? So I think not not be aggressive about it, because our fear turns into this anger that becomes aggressive instead of being, what do we say, assertive. And it comes from a place of truth. It's like, okay, well, I need this right now.
Yeah.
I need you to listen to me right now, or I just need to be here for a moment right now, or this is what I'm feeling right now. And I think, just having those honest conversations, and that's something that we don't do. And I know for me, like, I had to tell you, like, well, this maybe has nothing to do with what you want to do next, but it brings up fear in my body. Yeah. It brings up fear, like, from something that happened in the past that maybe has nothing to do with this right now. And it's bringing up all this emotions. So I think acknowledging that part, it's important for us women.
And that's exactly what I told him. I said, you have to understand that women's number one need is certainty.
Yes.
Like, you guys are wired to look for safety. Like, you and I talked about, like, when you go in a parking lot, you always looking back because you worry that somebody's gonna, take you, or somebody's gonna, like, this. We don't have the fear. Like, right. I've never remember going to a parking lot and looking for my keys, looking behind my back, thinking somebody's gonna take me. Right? Women have that fear.
When we go to the parking lot, we know we're gonna walk to the parking lot. Most of the time, for us women, we already have the keys in our hands, so we know we want to get to the parking lot, like, have our little light on, and then go to the car. You guys don't feel that because there's never really a tiger that's gonna come to attack you. For us, it is.
So that's the subconscious. That's the primal brain. So I said, like, when you're talking to your wife, you have to also look at the primal brain. Are you talking to the version of her that's looking for where's the tiger that's going to attack me? Where is the, where is the bad guy coming to get me? Right. Yeah. Right now, you just went through a situation through COVID that is a lot of uncertainty. Right. Mm-hmm. So what I told him, I said, just focus on the next 3 months. Like, don't, like, it's like, get her back into putting her feet back into the water again. Yeah. Like, don't think we're going to take risks. We're going to, next 10 years, we're going to do this. Like, no, like, at that moment, it brings stress into your body. It stress into your relationship. No. What are the next 100 days going to look like? What are the next 3 months going to look like? Yeah. So if you could bring certainty into your relationship, if you could bring certainty into your marriage, your wife is going to not necessarily be your biggest cheerleader, but she's going to earn your trust. Because right now, what has happened is I love that. You just saved both of you, and she doesn't know whether you got lucky. She doesn't know if, like, like, God is working miracles, or, you're going to be able to do it again. So now you have to prove. And that's what, I told him. So when I was building the Next Level Experience, I remember you and I had this conversation because, I spent a lot of money building Next Level Experience, putting events together. And then my real estate company, my partners would give me a lot of friction. Mm-hmm. They were like, what are we going to do, Raul? You're taking all this money, investing in next level real estate, next level experience, and what's going on with the real estate company? So then I got triggered. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to take any money from the real estate company. The money's going to stay there. I'm going to start from the beginning. I had zero money coming in. I'm going to build this next level experience from zero to the ground up. And then I had a conversation with you. I said, okay, so now just give me 100 days. And if I'm going to make it work, if it doesn't work, then I'm always, going to go back and build my real estate company and go all in there. Right. Mm-hmm. And every 100 days, I had to reconvince myself and reconvince you to, like, okay, this is working. This is working. And I remember we had events every 100 days. We had event after event. So then from there, I was building my certainty. I was gaining your trust, but I wasn't delusional. I wasn't trying to think, oh, well, I'm gonna build this, company. I'm gonna do this. No, 3 months at a time, build your foundation. Yeah. Because if you just came out of a situation where you almost lost everything, you can't expect your wife or your team to be back on track. You have to build trust. You have to be in relationships. So diffusing bombs, number one is bring certainty. The number one tool to diffuse a bomb is, like, being assertive.
Yes. Like, don't be aggressive, be assertive. And it comes from a place of, like, confidence of knowing, like, what you want in the relationship. I would say, like, take time to really have, like, those honest conversations, because I think if, we don't have enough conversations, we kind of, like, just pile it up. And then that's what we have, like, this huge arguments, because it has been piling up. I think a lot of the times when I speak to women, it's like, I've been holding on to this emotion for so long. Yeah. I've been, keeping it just stuffed down, and all of a sudden when you say something, it just triggers all this emotion.
And let me use some feel for the guys who are listening. It's not about fixing things. I'm not, we're not talking about having a conversation where you are going to fix the problem. I think a lot of us, what we want to do is immediately when a woman comes to us, and okay, here's what the problem is. Most of the time, is not about the problem. Most of the time, is about what she's feeling about. Are you listening?
Yes.
Are you holding the space for her? One of the analogies that I gave my client the other day is, imagine your wife is the ocean and you are the
boat?
the cruise. You are the
the raft.
What I call it the war vessel. You are the war vessel, right?
And she is the ocean.
And she's the ocean. The mistake that we make as men sometimes is that we want our wife to be a ship. We want her to be a nice little cruise ship, and we're the war vessel, and we both are supposed to be going towards the same goal together.
Yeah.
The reality is the feminine energy is the ocean of emotion. It's gonna create storms.
Yes,
It's gonna take you
say all
different
the time.
places. But you having the war vessel, you know that you're going somewhere. So your job is to constantly look at the coordinates, constantly look at where you're going to adapt and adjust and make sure that the ocean is guiding you, because the ocean is really the feminine energy is constantly guiding you towards your path.
Yeah.
All you have to do is just stay in the course and not bend. What happens with most men is the wife doesn't support them. The wife throws a bomb. They don't know how to diffuse it, so then they bend.
And then I also think we used to have like this huge arguments too, and then I would say like you have to think a certain way, and I think like now looking back, it's like, how crazy is it that I wanted you to think the way that I thought that you should have been feeling or thinking? Like, it's like, why are you thinking that way? You should think it should be this way. Like, no, that's not the reality. Like, what you think are your values and your feelings. Like, why would I change it? Why would I want to change it? Like, how crazy is it that I wanted to change it? I think that's like a crazy idea of me looking back now, right? But just taking the time to understand that if you are in a relationship, if you are in the marriage, that you don't always want to just win that fight. You don't always want to be right, but you do want to be in that marriage. Like, you do want to remember that you are friends. And it's funny because like sometimes I see my kids, my Abigail, she fights with her friends, and then they turn around the next day and it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Or because their friendship means so much more than just that one fight. And sometimes like us in our relationships and marriage, like we forget that. And we hold on to this grudge. Like we just have to fight for so long, or we have to like argue and bicker and really like get our emotions out onto each other, like project our emotions onto each other. And we forget that, like, okay, next day, can we just be friends? Can we have this respect and apologize if you need to apologize from a sincere place, and just generally be a friend?
And taking it to the God principles, right? Because we talk about God, money, and purpose.
Yeah.
If you look at the Bible talks about when a man and a woman come together, they become one,
Great.
right?
So much, yeah.
And then it also says that there can be two heads in the kingdom. There has to be always at least one person that is going to lead, and another one is going to support the leadership in the marriage. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the lead comes from the woman, sometimes the lead comes from the man. What happens is that men try to control everything, women try to control everything. So you're pulling from both cases.
Yeah.
You'll
never
places,
win.
And if you
You'll
pull together, you're gonna pull yourselves apart.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned is that what you do for me is you ground me. Like, I want to take the ship and I want to, go to the next level, but then you also have to come back and you help me understand that I need to be grounded.
Yeah.
And when I'm asking myself, am I doing it because I want to, or because I need to, or because I get to do it? Right. And then part of my experience every single time that we don't align in the same vision is going back to like, what's God's vision for my life? What does God want me to do? Because I know what Raul wants to do, but where is God in that place? What's God's vision for me? And if
most of the time, that's like when you get on with that vision, then God is like, it's the same vision for everybody. if you really tune into like what God wants is like for us to love each other. And I know like I talk about a lot about love, but that's like so real and palpable to everybody, you know, but if you just hold on to that idea.
And the one measurement that I have is like, is what I'm doing, it's just that I'm taking, who is it going to impact? Is it only going to bring impact to myself or for my family directly, or is it going to impact other people? Because, you know, if you look at a higher version of you or higher purpose with God and your purpose being in alignment with God, he only doesn't want to bless you. He wants to bless people through you. So if your vision doesn't align impacting other people, then you know it's not going to be God's vision. It's your mind trying to create what you want out of a place of the I consciousness. Is for me, is what I want, right?
And that's when you could destroy whatever's in your
path. And that's when you choose that, you know, my wife is not on board, I'm going to burn to the ground, then I'm going to do it because I want to prove something, right?
Right.
You know, the addiction of trying to be more, the trying to be more than enough, the addiction of trying to create the illusion that you are in control.
Yeah, and that's when you don't care what you destroy in your path. And that's when there's so many arguments and so much disconnection because it's like, okay, you were trying to just do what you wanted.
So that's a way to diffuse a bomb.
Connecting.
Just connecting.
What is the bigger vision?
Another way to diffuse a bomb is ask yourself, what's God's vision for me? What is God trying to show me? A second way to diffuse a bomb is get the feedback from your partner. Don't take it personal. Don't think that she or he is out to get you. Another way to diffuse a bomb is just to understand that both of you don't have to be in the same page all the time. But like you said, you have to be friends. You have to be you're lovers. You're
I think we forget that. We forget that a lot.
Towards the same path, you know. So you in it together. So that's it for today. We've diffused some bombs. Hope that this information has been valuable. If you're watching us through Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, make sure you subscribe, you comment, and you connect with us. Join us in all our platforms. We're going to be in iTunes, Spotify. Join us everywhere except for our bedroom. That's where we keep it private. Learn it. Live it.
Experience it. Love life.
If you receive any value from this conversation, comment, subscribe, and share as we continue to impact more people and take it to the next level.
And please send us your comments and questions so we could answer them in the next podcast.
See you in the next episode.